SpinalCom. Make any building smart.
Welcome to this webinar where I'll be doing a demo of our applications to show you how to add value to your data. I open a web browser and I log into the platform. I reach this page. So we're in a drive, which is to say a very classical file management system. I will take a digital model and I'll start by our building, which is called DEI. I've gathered all the BIM files, and in this case all the Revit files that I've transformed into a digital twin, and it's all in this digital twin file. I'll start by opening it in the studio. So this is the administration tool to manage, organize, and secure the data, and to present it in order to be able to share it tomorrow, either in the form of an API or directly through some applications. I'll show you an example of a building that we've been working on. We are once again in a viewer, and on the side there's a tree view system. It's important to remind yourself that this viewer is not directly connected to the BIM file. Some of you may have recognized the Forge viewer. So we don't send a file into the viewer, we take the BIM file and we generate a compatible database, and from this database we come and push the data into the viewer to display it. This studio enables you to organize your data spatially. I've enabled what you can call a geographical tree view. I'll just add back the room so it looks nice. We'll find all the elements. For instance, I can click on a piece of equipment. In this case, an air conditioning piece of equipment. I'll be able to find, for example, its documentation, all the useful links, and of course, the list of attributes that are included in the digital model. So you can see that you can rely on the digital model as a source of information. We already have a lot of information. On the side, you can see that you can organize a certain number of pieces of equipment. Here, I've created a group with all the air conditioning equipment. Afterwards, we can of course reorganize the data on the go. This is extremely important. Today, there's no right way to organize data. There are several good ways, and each person in the industry has their own way. If tomorrow I'd like to add a new equipment group, I can. And just like this, I'll say that the group is based on equipment. I've already started adding some tree views. You can see tree views at 3 levels: context, category, and group. In the active equipment, I'll add a category, which can be the connected doors, for instance, where you have them in the building. And I'll choose an icon there. And in it, we have the office doors. I choose a color to stay organized. And I've therefore created a new tree view element that you can see here. Connected doors, office doors. Now I'm going to add some BIM objects to this tree view. For example, I'll focus on a door. I know that the office doors are connected doors. I'll click on a door here. I'll go in the model browser and select all the doors. If I click on this, I do indeed select all of the doors, and I'll add this to my tree view. Now if I refresh the page, we'll have a new group that enables us to recover all the doors. What's interesting to see is that these organizations are extremely supple regarding many things. All the equipment, all the elements of the digital model, all the documentation, etc. Now we can see in my active equipment, I have my connected doors and all of my office doors, and I can isolate them. Now we can start sharing this information. Of course, with each tree view, we can offer sharing levels, visualization levels, and access rights. Remember, we have exceeded the digital file. We are now in a concrete database. This means that we can publish this information. Now, if I want to publish it, I return to these elements and I'll open the same digital twin with some applications. And in this case, with our spinal twin applications. It's important to note that any application can come and retrieve data in a secured way from the database. And here, what's important to notice with these spinal twin applications is just how simple the access is. You've seen the studio, there are many buttons and we have an ergonomic professional design. We've created a small application, a lot simpler in terms of management. We can manage the digital model with a tree view on the left. The digital model here is animated according to the floor level. Here we have the ground floor, where we can see on the go the location of each room. What's interesting is that afterwards we can recover some tree views. Here, for example, we can see all the rooms with all the different colors. We can see the useful information. Room number 1 is 17 square meters and contains a certain number of equipment. We are able to set up an easy inventory of all these elements. We can also see the information regarding space use and occupation. Here, the blue offices are the used offices. We recover information published from the studio towards the applications. I've published the occupation information and the inventory information. Now, if we focus more on this building in particular, it's interesting to see these different processes. We have recovered the digital model, a Revit file containing all the elements. We came and transformed it into a digital twin, which means that I can open it directly in my applications. And here's the building. This building has been scanned mostly with the building's envelope and partitioning. We've seen that our tools enable you to set up inventories and, if we look at the bigger picture, to use all the data contained in the model. This is why you mustn't hesitate to make models with a lot more information, furniture and equipment, and in that way, we really have an enriched database. Today we came to equip the 9th floor. We'll go directly up to the 9th floor. This floor is composed of a certain number of spaces. You can see how the colors show up. The space was originally empty, but in the purpose of this demo, we have equipped the space to dress it up in a sense and enrich the database. Let's take this office, for example. On the top left, when I click on it, if I zoom, I'll be able to see all the equipment that constitute this office. We can see a set of screens, some furniture, an air conditioning and heating system. Of course, these inventories can be exported as an Excel file with this button. We can recover all the elements in Excel. In this case, I wanted to show the inventory example, but we could do the same thing with spaces. I'll go in the Space Center. We'll find a certain number of spaces. Let's take a look at them. Going back to the 9th floor. In my open space group, the green zone, about 1,600 square meters, I've put some circulation and I've tagged the bathrooms and specific offices. Each time we can find the configuration of all the rooms. You see all this data organization. I worked on it in the studio and afterwards I published it easily towards an application, a small application that enables you to access the data easily. In our Maslow pyramid, that's the first level, access and get to know your building, and the second level as well, sharing the knowledge. That's exactly what we've done. we got to know the building. If I go backwards a little to the studio to really prove to you that we are a database, I open the building. Let's go back to the 9th floor. I'll isolate it. This is the floor, and now we're going to dive into the database. I've been talking about the database from the start, but I'll try to show you it. I take the 9th floor and take a peek at what it looks like in the database. So we are a graph database, which means we don't organize the information in tables, but in some knots, and we create connections between the knots. If you prefer, it's like technology similar to Facebook, LinkedIn, or social media in general. We have a galaxy of information connected to each other. Let's take the 9th floor that you see in the middle of the screen. If I open it, we can see that it is composed of 28 rooms. And each of these 28 rooms is composed of, let's take the office number 22. Office number 22 is composed of a certain number of objects, of attributes, a certain number of key elements. We could in this manner recover the building's entire tree view. Let it be BIM objects, documentation, attributes, or even dynamic data such as sensors like presence sensors, temperature sensors, air conditioning controls, etc. What we do is we start with a file that we transform into a database. All the data you can see in this graph is accessible via what we call APIs. An API is an IT mechanism that enables you to ask questions to your database in a structured manner. This means that the applications I've showed you aren't connected to the database. They are connected to the base via some APIs. We can find some ontology APIs that describe the building, that describe some knots in particular, rooms, documents, APIs that work on attributes, that work on spatial organization, how a floor level is composed, how these elements are composed, APIs that work on dynamic data, IoT networks and time series, APIs that come and work on some workflows or tickets that I'll show you later, etc. Therefore, in a unique way, the applications can be connected. This means that the knowledge you have gained with your digital model, that you have enriched through documentation, you are able to share it with information systems to supply your own systems, ERP system, management system, EWMS, etc. We could come back to these elements. Today we have shared our knowledge of the building, and tomorrow we could interact more by creating some tickets, some events, adding some documentation. Finally, something we haven't implemented in this building, I'll go back to my other building to which I've connected the IoT of the building. I open the building. I'll recover an air conditioning system. You see the tree view on the side. I have a certain number of controllers, BMS controllers. If I click on them, I have access to all the information passing through the IP network. Now this information on the IP network, I will position it, contextualize it directly in the digital model. If I start by my ground floor, there, I'll click on a small air conditioning system. And of course, I have access to the information in real time and to its history. I come to bring together all this information in the database. But once more, if I take this controller and go into the database, you can see the controller has some endpoints, which are pieces of data in real time. You see the knots, elements like temperature, presence, hydrometry. Another application also uses this data in real time if it wants to. Once we have this data in real time, we're able to present it. I've already presented it in the form of a chart, but tomorrow we can also present it in the form of a heat map and animate this model. Anyway, that's it for demo elements. What's important to acknowledge is that with nothing more than a digital model, we're able to recover all the data and share it very easily. That's the whole purpose of it. Forget all the file part. In a secured way, I can choose that a certain user profile has access to the data up to a certain level. For instance, only has access to certain types of objects. And automatically, that profile's 3D visualization of the model will be updated, as well as the attributes. Once again, we have dissolved the BIM file in a digital model, which enables us to have precise management abilities in all aspects: access rights, security, and data organization. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact us.